put this up a little bit that way. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna be over. Just me, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, everyone. Welcome to the staff training call today. So happy to have everybody on. If you can hear me, go ahead and type that in. I'm just gonna check a couple things here to make sure we're all set. Let's see here. Looks like we have a couple people on. If you could let me know that you could hear me and you can see me, that would be fantastic. We do have just a couple minutes before we're gonna get started today. I think we're good. Okay, thanks. All right, perfect. Well, it looks like everybody is getting logged on today. So welcome to the staff training call for January 2017. I'm excited to kick off this new year. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mary Jervich. I'm the Service Operations Manager here at Freedom Practice Coaching, as well as the staff specialist. Now, we have a really exciting quarterly coming up, and I cannot wait for this quarterly. It's going to be so much fun. For those of you that may not know, our quarterly in February always host our gala. So Saturday evening, after all of the education's over, all of our training has ended, we're all going to get together for a masquerade ball. And this is for owners, for staff members, for spouses. So anybody that's coming to the quarterly, make sure you get registered for the masquerade ball. It's going to be so much fun. If you have a mask, by all means wear it. Dress is kind of optional, okay? Certainly people are going to be very dressed up. They're going to be in dresses, ball gowns. Other people may just be in simple party dresses and more business casual attire. So business casual attire all the way up to decked out is perfectly fine. It's going to be a wonderful event. We'll have music, we'll have a cash bar. They usually have appetizers and things like that. So it'll be a lot of fun. And it's a great time to get to mingle and really get to interact with your coaches and specialists and directors and things like that. So do note, though, that the registration for the masquerade ball is different from the quarterly registration. So you actually have to register for both. And as well as the Zymogen training on Sunday, you would also need to register additionally for that. So if you register for the quarterly, it doesn't mean that you're automatically registered for the masquerade ball. So please make sure that you register for that. Even if for some reason your owner or practitioner is not coming to the masquerade ball, you can certainly come without them. So staff members and their spouses are more than welcome to come to the masquerade ball. We do ask that you go ahead and register for that. That way we know how many people are coming and we can prepare for that amount of guests. So for that, it's going to be a great time. I have my mask, I have my dress, so ready to go. It's going to be a good time. The other exciting thing I want to talk to you guys about and what we're going to cover today in our staff training are office systems. And I absolutely love systems. Anybody that knows me well knows that I love systems. And that's what I love so much about FPC is that we really love to teach systems and we're all about systems. I knew from very early on that systems was something that I personally wanted to do. It's what drives me. So my background was in restaurant management and things like that, but I can tell you, even though I was a kitchen manager, etc., what really drove me were the systems. I love having great systems. I love preventing those bottlenecks and overcoming those problems with solutions. So I'm excited about today's call. I am also excited because I get to offer you an opportunity. So at this upcoming quarterly, there's going to be an opportunity for the advanced staff members, which would be any staff member that's already been to a quarterly previously would be considered an advanced staff member. And in that case, you're going to be in my sessions. And during both of the sessions that we have for staff training, and there's multiple sessions, but in my sessions, you're going to have an opportunity to actually earn an award and to be recognized at our award ceremony on Saturday afternoon. So it's going to be a great time. There's going to be some presenting awards and things like that. And the opportunity we have to offer you is sharing with us your wonderful ideas. So every quarterly, I absolutely love it. You guys are always masterminding together. You're always interacting with one another. And it's absolutely wonderful to see all of the interaction. And you guys have the most wonderful ideas. You love talking to each other and you love sharing. So at this upcoming quarterly, we're going to give you an opportunity to share. And so here's what I need you to do. If you're an advanced staff member, you guys can present either individually or you can present as a clinic. That's totally up to you. Depending on the number of presenters that we have, that will kind of dictate the amount of time that we have. But I'm thinking around 5 minutes. So what you need to do is you need to prepare an office system. So something that is going really well in your office, something that your office is just killing it with. Maybe it's getting referrals. Maybe it's having people sign up at the dinner talk. Maybe you guys have a really high close rate. Maybe you guys have a really good process or system for getting spouses to come. Or maybe you have a good system for staying on time in the office and things like that. Or maybe you've created a script or a document, something that you would like to share with the rest of the FPC community. What I want you to do is I want you to bring that item with you to San Antonio. So props would be good. If we're sitting here listening to presentations all day, it would be really great if people brought props with them. It'll make it more exciting and fun. And even if you're not the best presenter, this is going to be a great time for you to have an opportunity to share your idea with other people. So I know everybody loves hearing all of the different ideas and innovative things that you're doing. So maybe it's a way to market, etc. Whatever is going really great in your office or whatever you're doing well, nothing is too small, nothing is too large. Bring that idea with you. And if you'd like to in advance, that way I know what you'll be speaking on, you can just email me at mary@freedompracticecoaching.com. At freedompracticecoaching.com. And you can just put simply the basics of what you're going to be talking about. Maybe it's scheduling. Maybe it's referrals. Like we said, maybe it's testimonials. You don't have to give me the full description of what it is. We'll certainly ask you to be able to share that information when you come. I will have my computer set up. So if you need to pull up documents, you could email those to me, or you could pull your email up on my computer, as well as you could probably go ahead and hook your computer up to the projector. So you'll have the projector, we'll have the flip charts, we'll have a couple of chairs up front, we'll have a table. That way you'll have everything you need to go ahead and present your system and idea. I'm going to check questions here and then we'll get started with our office systems today. Okay, I see that a few people are having buffering issues. If you guys can let me know if that has been corrected or if you're still having those issues, please let me know. One thing I can tell you is that this call is being recorded. So this webinar is recorded. So you will be able to watch the replay. Sometimes buffering issues happen because of internet speeds. It may not be anything that we could possibly control over here. It might just be the internet speed in your office. So I'm still getting some, we're good. So I'm going to keep going here. But if anybody else has problems, please do let us know. And like I said, we'll go ahead and get this link out. It will definitely be in the newsletter this upcoming week, the replay of this webinar. Okay, so office systems. What I want to do is just talk to you about a couple of office systems that we used in Dr. Webb's office that made things so seamless, right? So one thing is timing. And what's so important is that we don't want our practice members waiting. We want to separate ourselves from the other clinics. And one thing that you know that's typical of a doctor's office is generally long wait times, right? And that's something we even use in the talks to attract people to our office. So it's really important in the office that we stay on time. And in order to do that, we have to have a system. And so in Dr. Webb's office, there were a few things that we used to make sure everything stayed on time. And one of those items, the first item was just the way we would put our schedule together, right? That would be the first part of our system is how are we going to schedule people? And so what we would do for Dr. Webb's schedule, who was typically just seeing the report of findings visits, is we would schedule an hour of time. Now we knew that Dr. Webb typically didn't take an entire hour to see that patient, but we would schedule that hour of time so we wouldn't get off track. Now there were times where we would schedule a 30-minute appointment, maybe if it was diabetes or something like that, but we would know which type of patient the practitioner would be able to generally have a quicker appointment with. So that way we could build the schedule a little bit tighter. Another thing we did to make sure we stayed on time was to build in a 2-hour lunch break. So between 12 and 2, we did not schedule any of patients during that time. That allowed us, if we ever got off track in the morning, we'd be able to catch up before the afternoon started, and the practitioner would always have time to have a lunch break. So that was something simple to do. The next thing we did was we made sure that the schedules were laid out for both practitioners. So we had Dr. Detson and Dr. Webb. And so what we would do for Dr. Webb is we would actually write out all of his appointments, upcoming for the next day, the time of those appointments, what type of appointment they were, and where their lead source was from, if they were a new client coming in, if their spouse was coming, etc. We would write this all up for him, and we would actually have this to him on his desk by 3 o'clock the day before. That way he could see what his day was looking like the next day. And so he wasn't ever adding in extra appointments. He wasn't coming to the front and saying, schedule me for this, or I need to add this lunch meeting, or there was nothing ever thrown in there because he could see clearly that he was already booked for the day, or he could see clearly if he had a slot open. In which case we'd have to confirm if we were going to end up scheduling that spot with him. For Dr. Detson's schedule, we were scheduling patients every 20 minutes. And we did that because we wanted to be able to see at least 3 patients every hour. And that allowed our office to see 32 patients, and these were on individual plans every single month. And that gave us enough time to give great care. So with Dr. Detson's appointments, we weren't confirming them the day before because they were follow-up appointments, but we would ensure that the patients knew their appointment times when they left before they came. And we would also had a magazine rack. So outside of Dr. Detson's door, and if you guys ever watched the office tour, which is currently in week 4 of Building Your Foundation, you can see the office tour. And in that tour, there is a magazine rack outside of Dr. Detson's office. And what we would do with the magazine rack is that we actually would train our patients to fill out their daily note, which is that note that they fill out every time they come in for a visit. That way we can see how they're feeling, if they have any comments, how they feel about their program, hydration, exercise, bowel movements, things like that. And you can find that daily note in week 2 if you're looking for that, week 2, Building Your Foundation. But what we did is they would come in, they already knew the system, right? Sign in, fill out your daily note, we'll give you your folder. Then they would actually take their folder and they would place it into the magazine rack. And if somebody was early, we would tell them to place it into the second thing. So let's just imagine this is our magazine rack here, right? So we have our rack, and then our patients could come and put their files in. And so the first file would go here, and then here, etc. And what this did was it helped us to keep our patients in order, and it helped to free up the staff's time as well. The doctor already had a list of what his appointments were supposed to be, right? But now somebody's in traffic and running behind, or somebody came late, or somebody came extremely early. We could go ahead and guide our patients which slot to put their folders into so the doctor would be able to stay on track. The other thing it really helped with was staying on track for those 20-minute time slots. So obviously the practitioner had a clock in their office, but they would see when this next file came into the magazine rack, as he could see this from his office, he would then know to take a look at his clock and see where he was at with time. And so that was like a double reminder, right? So if this thing's starting to get filled up, he's obviously going to know either people are extremely early or he's getting backed up. And this didn't often happen because once he would start to see that first file, he would know he was going to need to wrap up his appointment. We think 20-minute appointments are really fantastic because it's enough time to get to sit down. It's more than your typical doctor's visit. It's enough time to give that next action item. It's enough time to give that next step. It's enough time for them to be heard because they've already filled out that note. So we already know what their needs are before we even speak with them. And so as this would happen, so as doctor takes this first file out of here, the staff members were constantly walking around, right? Whether we're filing labs or putting people on the pulse, we're giving office tours, etc. We would just go ahead and move these files up as we would see that they were empty. And obviously if the doctor comes out, no file in one, he's going to go ahead and take this one. So he would take this one and we would just move them on up, etc. But this was a great way if our patients were coming in that we didn't constantly have to say, okay, it's your turn, go on back. Okay, this is the next one. So the office staff didn't have to stop multiple times for the same patient. It wasn't a slight of customer service or anything like that because we still got them their coffee or their tea. They could sit in the massage chairs. They could watch a video, read a book, or one of our healthy magazines. They actually felt very comfortable because they could go wherever they wanted to within the office. And so the doctor would then just go and find them. We would write little notes on there for the doctor if needed, you know, in massage chair, etc. You can also have the patient's picture in the file. That way they're able to see them that way too. But that's just one simple way to organize and to have a system. Now, the system wouldn't work if we didn't consistently follow it. If we were constantly walking the patients back to the doctor's office, or if we were constantly just telling them to hold on to their files, or if any of those things were happening, our system wouldn't work. And so it's important anytime you put a system in place, first that you document that system, you train on that system, and you make sure everybody understands the system. And once you have it, you put that into place, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. Looks like I have a question. I'm going to check this right here. Okay. All right. It looks like some people may be still having a little bit of buffering issues. So just do look at the replay. So thank you for that. So this is one great office system. Another office system that we had that I really love was for checking labs. Okay, so we know when people are starting with their program, different programs may be getting different amounts of labs, whether it's blood, stool, diagnostic, hair, whatever type of testing you might be doing in your office, but there's going to be different types of labs that you're doing. And so we found it very important to make sure that we track these labs and to make sure that the labs were completed prior to the patient coming into the office. If the patient was coming into the office and the labs weren't completed for their visit, it was a wasted time. And we didn't want to have any wasted time on our schedule, whether it was for a patient follow-up or whether it was for a new consult. That was time that we could be productive doing something else. So we knew that on the first visit with the practitioner, they would be going over both of their blood labs and their diagnostic testing if those labs were ordered. So what we would do is, first of all, we had paper files. So if you have an EMR system, you'll have to look at the alerts and things like that within your system and talk to your EMR about that. But if you're using paper files, we just have paper files like this. So this is my beautiful paper file. Then grab a highlighter here. Okay, so we have our paper file here, and then what we would have are those little dots that you can buy at the office supply store. So whether it's, you know, Office Max or Staples or whatever, they have these little dots. So this is our folder, right? Let me make sure everyone understands this is our folder. And so it has the patient's name here. And so we would just get these little dots and we would put them outside of the folder. And the red or pink dot obviously indicated a blood lab. That was pretty easy. And then for the other testing companies we would have different colored dots. So maybe yellow for diagnostic testing. And so our dots would look like this. Now, if somebody had a longer program, we knew that they would have a second set of testing available to them. So to indicate that, we would have a second set of dots on here. Now, what we would do is when the lab started to come in, we would go ahead and we would mark, you could mark the date on here. So say we got a blood lab in today for this patient, we would just put the date on the little dot. And that would indicate that we got the lab in, and anytime we got a lab in, our system was to run a copy of the lab and put 2 copies of the lab stapled in the right-hand pocket of the folder, right? So that was our system. So any new labs would go into the folder, right-hand side. So as soon as the practitioner opened it, they would see those fresh labs there. And so that was what we did. So after we did this, we would now need to get it back to the practitioner to review it before the patient came in for their appointment. So what we did was we had a tickler system. And for those of you that may not be familiar, a tickler system is just a file. So, you just have like a box of like hanging files, and you just want to label those 1 to 30 or 1 to 28, but generally 1 to 30 or 1 to 31 would be best for this case actually. But you're just gonna go ahead and label those files. So you have a hanging file box and you label the files 1 through 31. And then what we would do is, because we're not just getting one lab in at a time, we're getting a stack of these. So we would take this folder over to our desk, we would look at this patient, we'd see when their next appointment was. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a Post-it, and this will be my little Post-it here. We would put a Post-it on the folder with the date that they were going to be coming in. And let's just say this person was going to be coming in maybe the 1st of February. So we put this little Post-it here. So now this tickler system would actually be in the practitioner's office. So in this case, Dr. Dutson did the lab reviews. This system was in his office. We would take this file back to Dr. Dutson's office, and I would put this patient's file in the hanging folder for the 1st. So this file is now in here. And what this does is this alerts the practitioner that before the 1st of the month, this file needs to be reviewed because it has labs to be reviewed. And so what this does is it alleviates the pressure and it alleviates the stack of labs on the practitioner's desk from all of these labs that need reviewed. Or it alleviates people coming in to where the labs have never been reviewed, right? So to finish off this system, what would happen was the doctor would go ahead and review this lab. He would bring it back up to the front, and he would put it, we would have a box right beside the printer that was kind of like the to be filed box. He would put this file back in that box, and we would know we could go ahead and file it. Now, the other thing we would do, is we would be pulling our labs, right? So we're gonna pull this folder when this patient's gonna come in, and we're not pulling this the day of, we're pulling this 2 days before. And we're gonna pull this 2 days before, and we're gonna notice here that they don't have any results for their diagnostic testing. So if they have an appointment 2 days out and they don't have results, we need to figure out why. So the first thing we do is we wanna contact the lab company, because we don't want to put that burden on our patient, right? So we're going to contact the lab company and see if they took the test, when we could expect the results, if we missed the results, etc. If we can get that in, we're going to have that appointment, right? If not, we're going to contact the practice member and we're going to see if they sent in this lab. And if they were having trouble, then we're going to go ahead and reschedule them. And this system was so perfect because we always knew when people had labs outstanding. You know, you take this little Post-it off, obviously, and you could put these little dots on as the tester ordered. So you don't have to put them on initially. You could certainly put them on as the tester ordered. And you could use that system in any way you like. But what really helped us was there's some times when the practitioner has time to look over labs, and there's other times when the practitioner just doesn't have a lot of time. But they do need to know what needs to be checked before tomorrow. What's going to make our tomorrow go on time, right? So when we go back to this system with things being on time, we can't be on time if the labs haven't been reviewed. So by ensuring the labs are reviewed, the labs are in there, we now start to stay on time. And these are just a couple of the office systems that we use. I know that we just have about 5 minutes left today. Is anybody having a specific concern or problem in their office that they might like some solutions to? I would certainly love to help anybody if they have a system, maybe they're in need of a system, because the one thing we do know is that when we have problems, the problem doesn't have to remain. We're really just looking for what solution is going to work best and what solution is easy, right? It has to be something that's simple. So when we try to overcomplicate systems, typically those systems aren't going to stay in place. People aren't going to keep doing them. And when that starts to happen, everything starts to crumble and chaos starts to happen. So if you're feeling stressed out about anything in your office, whether it's getting testimonials, whether it's following up with patients that miss their appointment, whether it's collecting payments, whatever it is, take a second to evaluate what that problem is and consider what the possible solutions might be. And see if maybe you had a system in place that's not in place now. Because if we simply take the time to create that system, you're going to alleviate the stress. Looks like I have a question here. Let me take a look. Yeah, so Sherry, EMR can definitely eliminate this type of system. You can definitely have a lot of different things. All of our clients use something different. So if you have EMR, maybe this particular system isn't going to be the one that you may use in your office, but you do want to make sure that your EMR is set up to send you notifications if blood labs aren't in. You do want to make sure that your EMR has the ability to move schedules around and that you're using those things. And every EMR seems to be a little bit different in the capabilities. So you'll definitely want to check with the host of your EMR of the different tools that they're able to help you utilize within your office. Great question. Okay, so I'm going to just keep watching to see if any more questions come through. Otherwise, I'm just going to remind you of what I'm asking you to do. So what I'd love for you to do is to come to our next quarterly and present your great idea. What is it that you're doing in your office that makes things run seamlessly? What makes your office fun? What do your practice members love about coming to your office? Any idea or tip, anything you can share to help enhance the other clinics within FPC, I'm begging you. I'm asking you. I know you already want to share, so I don't guess I have to beg you, but I'm urging you to come and present. We will have a couple of awards for the most innovative ideas. So do put your presentation together, and we're going to look forward to having you. Looks like I have one more question here. Okay, so Christine, that's a great question. She has a question on scheduling appointments. So within their program, they get 6 follow-ups with the nutritionist, and she's wondering if she should schedule those one at a time or if she should schedule them all at once. Now, anytime that you have group programs, I suggest that you do all of your scheduling up front. They already know when their group classes are, which is one commitment, and then with the nutrition appointments, if you scheduled those up front, it would be very easy. Now, you do not have to schedule all your appointments up front, but the benefit of doing that is helping the patient to understand what their schedule is going to look like for the next 6 months, as well as if somebody has a time barrier, like, right, so for instance, there was a gentleman, he had to have the 8 o'clock appointment. If somebody has a very strict time barrier, I always recommend you schedule multiple appointments out if they need a specific time, because you want them to be able to come in. You can always adjust their appointments as you go. They don't have to be set in stone. So yes, it's a great practice for you to go ahead and schedule all of those appointments out. And I highly recommend it for any patient that might be, even if you're not doing group programs, if any patient is stressed out about, am I going to be able to make it to these appointments? What time are they going to be? Because there's so many appointments, do schedule them out in advance. That way they can have that peace of mind. For people that are retired or have really flexible schedules or entire days off, they're not going to care so much. So it'll be a little bit easier. All right, well, it looks like we're at the end of our time today. Thank you all for joining me, and I look so forward to seeing you in February. Have a great afternoon.